In 1992, scientists made a group of adults remember being lost in a shopping mall as a child, terrified, crying, eventually rescued by a kind stranger. The memories were vivid. Some people added details nobody had given them. Descriptions of what the stranger was wearing, what the mall smelled like, how long it took before someone found them. None of it had ever happened. The researchers had invented the entire event, and the participants had built a complete, detailed, emotionally real memory of something that never occurred. Not because they were confused, because that is exactly what memory is supposed to do. You have been told your whole life that memory works like a camera. Something happens. Your brain records it. You store it. Later you play it back. That model is wrong in almost every way that matters. Memory is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every single time you remember something, your brain is not retrieving a file. It is rebuilding the event from fragments, filling the gaps with logic, expectation, and whatever happened to be in your head at the time of retrieval. The memory you end up with is not what happened. It is your brain's best current guess at what probably happened, and that guess changes every time you make it. This is what psychologist Elizabeth Loftus spent her career proving. In 1974, she and colleague John Palmer ran a now famous experiment. They showed participants footage of a car accident and then asked them one question. The question was identical for every participant except for a single word. One group was asked how fast the cars were going when they hit each other. Another group was asked how fast the cars were going when they smashed into each other. That one word change, hit versus smashed, was enough. The smashed group reported significantly higher speed estimates, and when asked a week later whether they had seen broken glass in the footage, the smashed group was far more likely to say yes. There was no broken glass. The word had planted it. A single adjective had rewritten what they remembered seeing with their own eyes. Loftus called this the Misinformation Effect. The idea is straightforward, but the implications are enormous. Memory is not sealed after an event. It remains open. Every conversation you have about a past experience, every question someone asks you about it, every related thing you read or watch afterward has the potential to quietly rewrite the version your brain stores. You do not notice it happening. The altered memory does not feel different from the original. It carries the same emotional weight, the same sense of personal truth. Your brain cannot tell you which version is the accurate one because it does not track edits. It just gives you the most recent reconstruction and labels it real. This is not a flaw that affects a small percentage of people with weak memories. In a landmark 1995 study, Loftus and colleague Jacqueline Pickrell successfully implanted entirely false childhood memories in roughly 25% of their adult participants using nothing more than a short written suggestion. A quarter of normal, functioning adults developed detailed memories of events that had never taken place. And when debriefed and told the memory was fake, some participants refused to believe it. They argued with the researchers. They insisted they truly remembered it. The memory felt so real that the explanation felt like the lie. Here's where it gets stranger. The problem is not limited to planted suggestions from outside. Your brain rewrites your memories on its own every time you access them. This process is called reconsolidation. When a memory is retrieved, it briefly becomes unstable, malleable, open to change. In that window, anything present in your environment or your emotional state at the moment of recall can alter what gets stored back. You remember something while you are angry, and the memory gets slightly angrier. You revisit a childhood event after a difficult year, and the memory shifts to carry more weight than it originally held. Every act of remembering is also an act of editing, and you have no access to the original file to compare it against. The implications reach into nearly every corner of human life. Eyewitness testimony, the most trusted form of evidence in courtrooms for most of legal history, is now understood to be one of the least reliable. Studies examining wrongful convictions in the United States found that mistaken eyewitness identification was a contributing factor in more than 70% of cases later overturned by DNA evidence. Not because the witnesses were lying, because they were remembering. And remembering, it turns out, is a creative act. Your own personal history is subject to the same forces. The story you tell about your childhood, your relationships, your past decisions, it has been revised every time you have told it. The version you hold right now is not what happened. It is the most recent draft of what happened, shaped by everything you have experienced since. The most painful memories tend to get sharper over time, not because the brain preserves them more carefully, but because you revisit them more often and each revisit adds new material. The happiest memories tend to soften and simplify because you reconstruct them through the lens of what you wish had been true. None of this means your memories are worthless. They are the best record you have, but they are not the record you think they are. The confidence you feel when you remember something clearly has almost no relationship to whether that memory is accurate. Research consistently shows that the most confidently held memories are not reliably more accurate than uncertain ones. Certainty is a feeling. Accuracy is a separate thing entirely. Your brain produces the feeling automatically, regardless of whether it has earned it. The camera model of memory is comforting because it means the past is fixed, stable, something you can rely on. The truth is harder to sit with. The past exists, for each of us, only in the version our brain happens to be running right now. It shifts when we are tired, when we are emotional, when someone asks us a question using a slightly different word. The person you remember being 5 years ago was constructed this morning. The argument you clearly remember winning was edited sometime last year. The version of events you are absolutely certain about is the version your brain found most coherent the last time it needed to produce one. You are not remembering your life. You are writing it, continuously, in ink that never quite dries.